Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching from different time zones, good morning or good evening. My name is Marilyn, founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited or CTS. And we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co creating customized programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony, PruLife UK, Ayala Group, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. Experts say that pandemic will last for the next 3 to 5 years. This is why we are organizing several intervention, including this interview, to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the new normal, those who would find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of their remote team, and for those business owners who are afraid that they can't keep their team or their business because of the current difficult situation. So to stay relevant and continue to lead effectively in any situation, do follow us and join us in these interventions that we do on a regular basis. So today, it's my great pleasure to introduce our leader, Neil Garcia Laas, the Chief Executive Officer and visionary who imagineered the mega e-commerce platform now called Go Shopping Philippines, also known as the GSP Mall. It's actually an all Filipino virtual mall ecosystem which is set to disrupt e-commerce landscape with a highly innovative concept. He is an accomplished, versatile professional with a strong legal and business management background. His management competence and entrepreneurial skills were honed through his stint as an immigration business development officer and then as a real estate market development manager with a proven excellent sales performance record of closing 88 million United Arab Emirates dirham worth of deals single-handedly in Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the UAE, coupled with an extensive knowledge on structural management and human development management. He has successfully developed a highly effective multinational workforce that landed big deals with EMAAR, NAKHEEL, TAMEER, and other property developers in UAE, in the US, and in Europe. He was in the academe as well, having taught in University of the Philippines and the international schools abroad. Rather, he also spent years in the United States, working in several intercultural. Workspaces. He later became an entrepreneur after he worked as a leasing manager of the biggest mall operations in the Philippines. Currently, he owns his own brand called Back to Basic, an array of natural skincare products and essential oils that rakes in millions of revenues each year. Neil comes from a very humble beginning with his hard work to finish college, and he has been strengthened in spirit after experiencing being bullied when he was a child. Neil graduated from the Central Philippine University with an MA degree in sociology and earned his political science degree from the University of the Philippines and the University of San Agustin. Without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in Neil. Hi, Neil. Good.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. And it's a pleasure to finally meet you and have you here for this interview.
It's a pleasure. Really.
Yes. So let's go and jump in right to the questions.
Go ahead.
So the first three questions, in fact, is more towards to understand the perspective on where you're coming from. So we will ask you about yourself, the perspectives that you have, and then the 4 to 6 question will be, I would say, the meaty part where we will learn a lot from you based on your experience, and the 7 to 8 question will be my Miss Universe questions.
All right.
So to start with, please do share with us your leadership experiences and influencers. Probably if you do have like, your favorite leadership style and then your experiences, or probably who are your influencers as a leader.
That was a very grand question to begin with. But anyway, I had been a product of, or shall I say, an avid fan of the the topic called leadership, because when I was young, I was actually very active in any student leadership programs that is available. And
Mhm.
for me, leadership styles that I have right now, or the influences I have, are actually conglomerations of both the academic and the corporate experiences.
Mhm.
Having thought in the academe for quite a long time, I had instituted to myself a different political leadership, theoretical in nature. But when I get out of that academe
Mhm.
or academic environment, I begin to experience a different breed of leadership when I started working in a corporate setup. And
Mhm.
not so much that I really have somebody that I adored in terms of leadership, but for me, all these things that I have learned, all these things that I have read in the book, it does not matter to me for, when I was setting up for myself, because what matters to me is the way that I want myself to be led.
Mhm.
I happen to have a chance being, that I have observed the great leaders in the country, like Hans C, for example, my big boss, and the SMO operations, where I get to have you know, a sneak peek on how he does things in the mall, and admittedly, I got some wonderful wisdom from him. However, just a big however, I tried to come up with a different style and a different approach
Mhm.
to the whatever leadership styles I may have. It all boils down to me having my own style, and shall I say it's my own innovative decision to do it for myself anyway. So yeah, again, it's both academic and corporate perspectives mixed together, but
Mhm.
I don't really have somebody in mind that I can really tell or say that I really pattern this leadership style or whatsoever. I basically have to look into my core as a person and how I lead as a person. That's where I born out. That's where I started my own leadership style in a way.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing with us. I mean, it's good that you had like both experience of academic and corporate. And I believe that, most of us would gain so much from our experience on the way okay, this actually example or this experience I had will be valuable for me. As you've mentioned, like it's more of how you wanted to be led that it's more important for you, right? Because at the
Right.
end, the day, like we move, we take actions based on the motivations and experience that we will have from our in person or personal experience, right? So
Right. If I may add, Marilyn, the reason why I give that kind of answer, because it's becoming a habit that a lot of people looked into somebody
mhm,
great leadership, but you cannot really actually get into the character of a leader unless you yourself will come up with how you really want to be called as a leader. At the end of the day, the theories, the histories that we've read in the book
mhm,
will all just going to be written in the book, but you have to start writing your own history or your own story. Amidst all these people who have gone ahead of us, they left a mark. Yes, that's true. But hey, you can always make a mark on your own, without really following the footsteps of those who are ahead of you. But learning from them is a great methodology to begin with. But you have to ensure that after you learn, you read about their histories, their life story, you have to come up something that's unique to yourself so that you can call it your own brand of leadership.
exactly. And thank you for sharing that. And I mean, it's it's right to say that we're all unique, and that gives an inspiration to our listeners that being themselves, being their authentic being authentic in what they do and who they are will actually like um light up, I would say, like, would share the light outside
Right.
of the community, of their family, and even in their organizations, right? So
Right.
having said that, what is leadership for you?
Leadership for me is very personal. It defies whatever the definition that the dictionary has provided. Leadership is your own methodology of how you let the people around you follow you without really imposing on something. It's
Mhm.
leadership by character, it's leadership by example. That's how I define it. The rest will be useless if you don't take everything into action, what you just said. For me, discipleship is also the best definition for leadership, or shall I say, the other characteristics of leadership is by discipleship. What do I mean by that? Aside from mentoring, you really have to take an individual to journey with you, not just to journey with you, but to understand
Mhm.
the dynamics of the journey, to understand what's the vision ahead, to understand what the troubles may come along the way, and what characteristics to implore when all these troubles are in place. For me, that's how I define leadership. It's very personal thing. It's something that you cannot actually follow from the rest. It's up to you. It's up to you on how you're gonna design your own leadership motivations and skills.
Mhm. Thank you. And I really love when you share that, it's all up to you. And that's accountability. And for a leader to be like, to be followed, like what you've said, you have to exemplify that, and show that in what you do, right? So that, oh, okay, I want to follow Neil because he's doing this, he's doing that, and he's setting this example for us, right?
Right.
And yeah, so that's really great. And earlier when I introduced you, I made mention about the, e-commerce platform that you're actually creating right now. And nowadays, like, a lot of things has changed. Everything is evolving and ever changing, I would say. And a lot of people call that either the new normal, next normal, whatever it is. So for you, how would you actually define and describe the next normal? I mean, a lot of people having difficulty, right? And yet here you are creating a huge e-commerce platform. So how would you actually define and describe next normal in that case?
Well, next normal is an era of both opportunities and uncertainties. It's something that leadership style is being challenged, and the business style and environment has been shaken, and it will continue to be shaken even in the next normal. The next normal, none of the sociologists have ever defined in actuality what the next normal would be. Everybody's talking about the
Mhm.
next normal, the new normal. But to be honest
Mhm.
with you, no sociologists have ever defined that yet,
Mhm.
because we are all in the transition period and everything seems to be uncertain because nobody can predict the future anyway. The phenomenon that we are in right now is
Mhm.
so fragile, but at the same time, it's a phenomenon that you can actually thrive in it. The new normal for me is an era of many opportunities. It depends on how you think. It depends on which perspective you're going to get into. But for me, amidst all these uncertainties, new normal or the next normal provides opportunities, an era of opportunities. But it's up to you.
Exactly. And again, one more time, I would just stress it. You've always, mentioned like it's all up to you. So, it's us taking that ownership, and it's us taking that opportunity. And like what you've said, it's an era of both opportunity and uncertainty. So it's like, about choosing your heart. Either
Correct.
way, there will be like some challenges, but um but of course you can choose like how would you take it moving forward, right?
Because nobody, Marilyn, nobody will tell you and dictate what you have to do. The government cannot do that. Well, they can impose a vaccine thing, or that you have to be, wearing the mask and the facial every day. But
Mhm.
beyond that, you decide. You decide your fate. You decide what's going to happen tomorrow. Whether the next normal is favorable to everybody or not, again, it's up to you. You have to come up with everything out of nothing.
True, true. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I
Right.
hope our listeners or our audience is, getting so much from this. I mean, it's all about accountability and making the right choices for yourself,
Right.
right? So, I mean, during the introduction, I made mention also, on top of your academic experience, you've also been to the corporate world, and now that you're an entrepreneur, and for sure you're also still working with corporate leaders in the past, in the past experiences you had and businesses you had, right? So, what would you say would be the top three problems that they normally face?
Okay, I like that question. One, it depends on the leader. But let me qualify the question. Let me qualify my answer too. The common three problems for me that most leaders around the world encounter or most often
Mm-hmm.
fail not to amend to that. Number one, they fail to recognize the ever-changing environment. Before pandemic, the world is changing already. That's a fact. The world is revolving around its axis every day. It revolves in its own axis, but changes are happening every moment. And most of the visionaries and the leaders up there fail to understand that these changes are beyond their control. So if the change is inevitable, your leadership style has to be changing according to the times. But the way I look at it, these leaders, no matter how great they were, failed to look at from the hindsight that the things that they did in the past may not be relevant today.
True.
It has to change. That's one thing. Number two, most leaders have misconceptualized their existence. You can't be a leader just because you have people around you to lead.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong. Leadership comes from leading yourself. If you cannot even control yourself, if you cannot even control your emotions, your tactics, your own dreams, your own self, then how can you lead people? Leadership or leaders right now fail to see that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, most leaders, when they reach the apex of their successes, fail to recognize that they are in the um, echelon, the highest echelon of their successes because there are people below
Mm-hmm.
who actually let them climb the ladder of success.
Mm-hmm.
They failed to see that, or they chose not to see that perspective because once you are up there, you're looking at the bright horizon and you forget that, hey, there are people down there building your pyramids. If they're going to be gone, you're surely going to fall.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And I remember because we're organizing something in of course partnership with Rich Woman magazine, and it's all about self leadership. And I'm glad you've actually mentioned that in your number two, which is more towards self leadership, right? So and that's the reason why even COVID has been here with us for the last almost 1.5 years already, right? um, there are still leaders who struggle a lot, and again, like what you've mentioned, it starts with leading yourself, right? So in this upcoming event that we're actually I'm the VIP chair and, as a volunteer here. This is not actually my event, but I really love the concept and the why of the event, where they're creating awareness for leaders to to step up and to be more resilient through self leadership. So that's why, again, like what you've said, this is one of the toughest things that a lot of leaders do face, right? To be able to lead themselves in the first place.
Correct.
Yeah, and so having said those problems or top problems that most leaders do face, what are then the important leadership capabilities you must have in the next normal to continue to lead effectively?
Good. I love that question, Marilyn. Thank you. Having said those three problems, well, I can share to you based on experience.
Mhm.
One is examine your assumptions as a leader. You may have so many assumptions in your life, but those are assumptions that are no longer relevant. So
Mhm.
wake up. Okay, you wake up. It's not just because you're the leader, you're the boss. It doesn't follow that way that everybody will just follow the bandwagon effect. That's the say. That's already cliche for me.
Mhm.
Examine your assumptions. It has to be examined because things like this are being challenged nowadays. Number two, you have to commit to an intentional learning. Once you examine your assumptions that there's something wrong with the way you may set your perspective, the way you set the whole vision together with your group, then commit to your own intentional learning. Whether you like it or not, you have to humble down yourself that you don't know a lot of things too.
Mhm.
You get to learn many things from people who's been working with you. They have the power to educate you. All you just have to do sometimes is to listen. Now I'm preaching to myself because that's what I most often than not do to myself. I sometimes over have this in my mind that I am the CEO, I built this, so you listen to me. But that has to change because these people are not dumb and idiots. These people have their own little brains that you can actually use to magnify the vision that you have. And number three, what you have to do is to redefine your purpose.
Mhm.
Redefine your purpose. Are you the leaders just up there, or are you the kind of the leader that you can go up and down and meet the people below, but you can still be up there because the people down there are supporting your successes in life? For me, that's the best way to trudge the next normal. You need people to work with you.
Yes, thank you. And that's again highlighting the importance of being able to um, work with people, being able to support your people, to be able to support you as well or your business, right? And being able to lead that organization that you have created to create more success and impact, not only to yourself but also to your organization and of course to the community and hopefully in the world, right?
Right. That's
So
correct.
yeah, thanks for sharing that. So, what do you believe then is the role of you made mention in your earlier comment that they have to be able to commit intentional learning. So the next question would actually lead us on what's actually the important role of learning, leadership, and transformation in order to thrive in the next normal.
Oh, well, let me put this into a little analogy. We are about to trudge a new path, and that kind of path is uncertain and full of uncertainties or opportunities both ways.
Mm-hmm.
But we need a pilot or a driver or a
Mm-hmm.
captain of the ship for that matter to put us on board
Mm-hmm.
so that we can trudge this all together. Now,
Mm-hmm.
leadership is a vehicle
Mm-hmm.
to the next phase of whatever there is.
Mm-hmm.
That's how important leadership is. That's how important that you as a leader should take notice that people looked up to you, that people are sometimes they did not use their own little brains and just simply follow you because you have that influence over them.
Mm-hmm.
But use it wisely, and therefore you have to ensure that you have this personal observations to yourself that hey, wait a minute, let me rethink, let me reevaluate my position and my direction at the same time because no matter what, people are back there following me. and
Mm-hmm.
I get to be blamed where we're going to be heading to, whether those uncertainties or not. So leaders have this huge role to perform.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, to whom is given, much is expected. So a lot of people are expecting you to lead yourself emotionally, to be mature emotionally, psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be healthy spiritually at the same time. So the next phase of the new normal, we need captains who are actually know how to operate the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I put it.
Thank you. So I hope I got that correctly. So it's basically having a captain to generally to remove all the uncertainties that you've made mention, and as well as to take everyone to see the opportunity. And like what you've said in the end, it's like about having a captain who knows how to drive the team towards one goal, and it's his vision, right?
Right.
So thank you for that. And so um, we go move to the next question, which is, if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it? And feel free to share with us why.
I love magics. If given the magic wand, I want to actually wave it and make things different. How I wish that everybody is given the opportunity to be who they are and what they will become without being judged of their economic status. Like me, for example, how I
Mhm.
wish that society today would look into the brilliancy of my ideas rather than looking at me that I have nothing on my pocket. How I
Mhm.
wish that magic wand could make a difference if I'm gonna wave it, if given a chance. That,
Mhm.
let's see beyond the economic status of that person and see
Mhm.
and look on his brilliancy and his vision. And from there, we're gonna move forward.
Wow, thank you so much, Neil. That's really beautiful. And again, a lot of us, I would say, like, I would totally agree with you on that, where, sometimes people would see us or others because of, the material things that we have, the cars that we drive, the home that we have, and all the material things, money and all those stuff. And sometimes, like, I do remember, like, some of my guests, because I used to work as a guest services manager in hotels and resorts, right? And I do receive like complaints. How come those white people? I mean, it's not that we're being racist or anything, but sometimes some people would like, oh, okay, they would give like special attention to the foreigners, like
Of
we're in
course.
the Philippines, right? And so that's the reason why, like, one time I had this guest who's been raging with anger because of, like, I felt like I'm not treated that well here, or that you're not equally treating your guests, and it's my responsibility as the guest service manager then, that everyone is treated well, because they're all guests after all, and they're all paying to to stay and to enjoy there, and they are there to, and not only to enjoy but to relax, right? And they're not supposed to feel that way, right? And
Right.
I really hope that you have that magic wand to make more people see that, you accept, you see the amazing things about others, not just because of the material things they have, right? But on how they actually bring in themselves, right?
If Marilyn, disregard the magic wand, disregard it. Just you yourself is a magic wand. Let people see what you
True.
want them to see.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the amazing thing with what we do right now. The
Hmm.
reason why we've been interviewing leaders like you is because we wanted to get, your messages out there. Like, we wanted to inspire more people to hear these kind of messages, right? And
Right,
to awareness as well, like, hey, this is what you're supposed to be looking at. This is
right.
we're supposed to be doing, right? Instead of the other way around, right? So this is like with our, with a huge hope that, we will be able to at least inspire others through our message, right? Without that magic wand, again, like what you've said.
Right.
Yeah. So having said that, it's so fast. We're already on our last question. So
Okay.
my last question would be, if you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be?
What's the essence of being underprivileged? That's the question that I can best detail, or I can best describe to
Mm-hmm.
every person's going to be asking me that. What's the essence of being underprivileged? The essence of being underprivileged is the essence to become a successful person. Because what is there to succeed if you're already
Mm-hmm.
born rich?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is there? What's the essence of you struggling in this world when everything you have is already in your plate?
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of life lies on how you struggle and how you rise up. It's
Mm-hmm.
not how you amass wealth. The essence of everything is definitely lies on how your attitude surpass all these odds. Because number one, you have no choice. You're an underprivileged person,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't want to stay in that situation. But you have to struggle to get out from that mud. And once you get out of there, help people to get out from theirs too.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that amazing, part of your story, I would say, of your
Right.
experience, right? And again, like what we've been, discussing just now, it's like it's all about you taking ownership of what's happening in your life and being able to change it, because it starts with awareness and self leadership, right? So once you have that awareness, when you have that desire as well, and you would actually work on having that desire and vision, right? Then
Right.
things starts to change, right? And and the good thing is that when you do things that are within your superpowers or your strengths, and within your vision, and with a very good intention as well, you will definitely be able to again help others as well, to bring them up as well, to help them out of where they are right now as well, right? And
Right.
that's the beauty of life. I mean, we can always like, and that's the reason why, if you are poor, you are born poor, it's not your fault. But if you die poor, then that's your fault, because you didn't do something
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's correct.
Yes, thank you so much, Neil.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Yeah,
Nice,
before we
nice meeting you
end this,
here.
yes, and before we end this interview, is there anything that you'd like to add in or share to our audience before we end this interview?
Okay, let me leave you with this mantra of mine. The poorest person in the world is not one without a cent on his pocket, but a man without a vision. Riches does not come from having money, but it's having the vision. So always, always start with a vision. The rest will follow. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for this really inspiring conversation with you.
Thank
And
you.
I hope our audience has been inspired with what you've shared, the stories and the answers that you've actually given us today. And again, thank you so much, Neil, for this amazing interview with you. And it was nice to finally meet you here at least. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And do join us on this journey again to fight this pandemic that had caused a lot of challenges, and turn this into opportunity, like what also Neil shared right earlier, that we can always take this into an opportunity for every one of us, through, of course, through several interventions and learning again. And remember, even the richest investors in the world would say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your life, right? So with that, we would like to leave you with this quote from Dolly Parton, that if your action creates legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks again, Neil.
Thank
Hi.
you.